Good afternoon to you. I'm Al Kresta. Joining me right now, Brian Rooney, who received his Doctor of Laws degree from Florida State University, was commissioned as a second lieutenant in 1998, and then deployed to Iraq with the 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing, where he served in Najaf and Fallujah. I met Brian when he was a staff attorney and director of communications development at the Thomas More Law Center. He is now seeking the Republican nomination for Michigan's 7th Congressional District. It's good to have you, Brian. Thanks.
Hey, Al. It's great to be back on your show. Thanks for having me.
Talk to us about why do you want to run for Congress? What's the need in this particular district?
You know, you have a small part in it, Al, to tell you the truth, because I listen to your show. And when my 3rd child was born with a congenital heart defect, and we spent, a total of 3 months at the beginning part of his life at Mott Children's Hospital at University of Michigan, the Michiganders really rallied around us, and Dick Thompson from the Thomas More Law Center and everybody else at the Law Center and everybody at Ave Maria really helped me out, allowed me to work from the hospital. People brought us over dinner and, mowed my lawn and watched my other 2 kids and dogs. And, through that whole process where, before my son was born, we were thinking maybe of moving to Florida, maybe Ave Maria town area, those sorts of things, to maybe open another office for the Law Center down there. I remember listening to a show of yours where you said sometimes it's incumbent upon the parents to raise their children in an environment that gives them the best opportunity to be, not only a great American, but, raised in your faith that you think is most appropriate. And, we don't have a better place really in America, I think, than right here for, the Catholic community. And thinking that through, I wanted to raise my kids not just with Michigan values, but with, Catholic values of my faith. And with the Sisters of Mary, Mother of the Eucharist, SSA schools around here. And, those sisters really helped us out during that whole ordeal, the crucible we went through with my son Blaze, that we decided we were going to make Michigan our permanent home. And when you're making that decision as a husband and a father to raise your kids with those values and, to put them before whatever else you have in your own mind, it's incumbent upon you also to be a husband and father to say, are my kids going to have opportunities here in Michigan when they grow up? And right now I see too many kids, grandkids leaving the state and going to other places to find work, and I want to try to help change that around.
Well, that's, by the way, thanks for your mention of the program, Brian. I do appreciate that, and that is a lesson I really do have taken to heart myself too. And Michigan is in desperate need of leadership, new leadership. When you look at, you and I have talked about many of the social issues in the past. But let's talk about the economic issue for a moment. What can happen here? I mean, Michigan has, I think, the highest unemployment rate in the nation. It's actually quite frightening.
Well, it is, especially as a father of 3 young children, and hopefully more down the line, God willing. But the old saying is, as GM goes, so goes the country. It really means as Michigan goes, so goes the country. We can get Michigan back to work. We can get the rest of the country back to work. And, we have a unique opportunity right now because we have, the opportunity to elect a new governor, a new legislature, new congressmen and women. And if we get the right people in office, then we can change Michigan around. The whole, hope and change thing that President Obama ran on, people still want it. Because they didn't get what they bargained for.
Right.
And in my mind, the next governor is going to have to make a lot of difficult decisions and be bold and be prepared to be a one-termer. And I want to help whomever that is down in D.C. by not glomming on unfunded mandates, by reining in some of these regulatory agencies, and then, allowing the estate tax to remain gone forever, to keep the capital gains tax low or get rid of it. I'd love to get rid of it. Not to increase, the Bush tax cuts and make them permanent sort of things. And to me, there is some common ground you can find with Democrats on some of those issues. For instance, I think you could get a consensus agreement to say, look, if we can't get rid of the estate tax for everybody right now, let's at least get rid of it for family farms. We have a lot of family farms in this district, and the fact that they're coming into third generations and their asset in their land is worth more than what they kick off and they have to sell because they can't afford the estate taxes is unconscionable.
Yeah.
So, those are sorts of things that I believe in, that, if you leave more money in people's pockets, then you'll create more jobs, and guess what? You'll have more taxpayers.
Yeah, indeed. My guest, by the way, is Brian Rooney. He's running for the Republican nomination for Michigan 7th Congressional District. This includes northern Washtenaw County, which includes Eaton, Hillsdale, Jackson, Lenawee County. What has been the as you've been out talking with your constituents, what is it that most concerns them?
Jobs is the number one issue by far.
Everywhere.
This district probably has been hit harder than most other districts. We have Jackson, Battle Creek, Albion, and Hillsdale, Coldwater, cities like that have been hit very hard. And people have a job, they're concerned they're going to lose it. If they don't have a job, they say, I want the dignity of a paycheck, not an unemployment check. And then I run into a lot of retired folks that say, you know what, my kids and grandkids live in Florida or Texas, and it makes me sad because they had to move out of the state that, they were born and raised in. And I'd love for them to be able to move back because I'm all alone here now. And so I want to be the guy that welcomes new people into Michigan, that brings people back, that keeps people here, because it's such a great state. We have so many great resources, great education system. We're outsourcing our kids now because they get educated at U of M, MSU, or Hillsdale, or wherever, and then they leave the state. And that's unfortunate. And then people are concerned about the out-of-control spending. They know that, you can't just mortgage children and grandchildren's future and print money on one hand and then buy it on the other. Those things people intuitively know just from their own balancing their own pocketbook and budget book. And then the third thing people are concerned about is national security issues. And as a former Marine that served in Iraq, I understand those issues very well. I mean, last Christmas we had a guy try to blow up a plane over Detroit. We just recently had a guy in Times Square try to blow that up. And these are radical Muslims, and our president refuses to name who our enemy is. They're not afraid to say who we are. But, the whole notion that, we can dialogue with these folks and come to an agreement with them is insane. Radical Islam, there is no dialogue. They believe they're 100% divinely inspired, correct. And it's not even inspired. It's, they believe that they're called to do this. And so I always say I've had a lot of Muslim friends, and they will be the first to say the same thing, but there's a lot of radical Muslims out there that want to destroy America, and we have to remain ever vigilant to protect our country against that threat.
For people who haven't heard our previous conversations, Brian, let me just ask where you stand on the life issues.
I'm 100% pro-life. I fought for life issues in state legislatures around the country and in the courtroom. In fact, the last case I had out of the Thomas More Law Center was defending a nurse who was wrongly accused of trespassing, and we had to go through a whole trial and even an appeal, and she was acquitted of everything outside of an abortion clinic in Westland. And, I'm a firm believer in, our Constitution, and, we at the Thomas More Law Center say, when I used to work there, we took the Constitution from a conservative point of view, from a point of view that the Constitution applies to everybody, not just folks that agree with the ACLU. So, I've not only fought for life issues in my former job as an attorney at the Law Center and spokesman, but I live it every day with my special needs. And, that was an incredibly difficult time, but I tell you, it's like the Bible says, St. Paul says, when you're at the nadir of your life, the more of the graces will flow from it. And when we were at the ICU unit at Mott Children's Hospital, Father John Ricardo would come help us out. The Sisters of Mary would come help us out. And then the witness to our faith around us and the folks that were praying with us, it was great and horrible in many ways, but, that whole experience made me even more devoted, if that's even possible, to the life issue, because there is so much hope in life if you just give it a chance.
Well, Brian, tell people how they can stay in touch with what you're doing and with your campaign. I'm sure you're always looking for shoe leather as well as funds.
Yeah, the easiest way is to go to our website, runwithrooney.com, and, we're getting yard signs out all the time. In your more immediate listening area, we're in northern Washtenaw County, all of western Washtenaw County, and we're out and about every day hitting doors, and if people want to make phone calls or go out with us, please shoot us an email on our website, info@runwithrooney.com.
Very good, Brian. Thanks so much, and I wish you the best. Thanks.
Great. God bless.
Brian.